Let us see a few more questions in data structure and object oriented programming, C++. Now we come to write the properties of static member function. In a member function of a class, if we call it as a static member function, what does it mean? It means that the static function can have access to only other static members declared in the same class. First is this. Static function can only access the static members which is in the class. The second is this static member function can be called using the class name directly. For example, you can just put class name along with this scope resolution operator, and then you can write the function name it will be called. You don't require to make an object first and then to call. These are the properties of your static member function. Define the constructor. A constructor is a special member function. It constructs, it initiates. So it's a special member function whose task is to initialize the objects of its class. Why it is called as constructor? Because it constructs the value of data members of the class. And there is always a constructor which runs by itself, which is called as default constructor. You can also make your constructor. You can give inputs to the constructor, etc. What are the characteristics of constructor now? So constructor should be declared in public section. First thing is this, very important. Constructor should be declared in the public section if you are making it. They are involved automatically when the objects are created. You don't have to do anything. This will be automatically done. C++ has already taken care of it. They have no written values. Constructor has no written values and they cannot be inherited. There is no possibility of inheriting the constructor. 37. Define the parameterized constructor. Now, as I indicated earlier, you can also, pass the value to the constructor. So this is called as parameterized constructor. So these arguments can be passed to a constructor function when the objects are created. So the constructors that can take arguments, in this case, we define them as parameterized constructor. What is implicit constructor? C++ compiler has an implicit constructor which creates object even though it was not defined in the class. So this is, you can call it as an implicit constructor. You may know it as a default constructor, but there will always be a default constructor which will be provided by C++ to you, and this will be automatically called when you create an object. What is the use of copy constructor? So you have one constructor, second constructor, you want to copy one constructor content to the another. So copy constructor is used to declare and initialize the object from another object. You want to declare and initialize one object with another object. So for that, what you do? You do object 1 inside your parenthesis object 2. So object 2 will be created by the object 1. So this will define that the object 2 and at the same time initializes the values of object 1 to object 2. This is copy constructor. Now the next is what do you mean by dynamic construction? Dynamic construction, the allocation of memory to objects at the time of their construction, is dynamic construction of objects. What is the use of destructor now? As we have constructor, we have destructor also. This is used to destroy the objects that have been created by a constructor. So it will release the memory space for the future use. Then what are the characteristics of destructor? First, the destructor is a member function whose name is same as the class name, but it is preceded by a tilde sign. It neither takes any argument nor returns a value. Well, constructor takes a value. It has no return type, but this destructor, it neither takes any argument nor returns a value. Then it will invoke implicitly by the compiler to clean up the storage. You have to do nothing. It will be invoked by your compiler by itself. Define the operator overloading. The process of making an operator to exhibit different behaviors in different instances is known as operator overloading. For example, when we are talking about an object-oriented programming language, there are objects, and you would like to add the objects, you would like to subtract the objects. So this plus, minus, etc., which are used on variables, or these operators which are applied on the operands actually, we want to apply it on the objects. So operator overloading provides that, specifically that. Define function overloading. Performing different type of tasks using single function name is referred to as function overloading. So function overloading is one of the implementation of polymorphism, which says that same name and different work. Define virtual function. What is virtual function? When the form of a member function is changed at runtime, the member function is referred to as a virtual function. Okay, this virtual function, we'll talk about this also. We'll have various questions on this. What are C++ streams? Input stream, output stream, etc. So C++ language offer a mechanism which permit the creation of extensible and consistent input-output. This input-output system in the forms of streams library. So it is a collection of classes and objects which can be used to build a powerful system and can be modified or extended to handle the user-defined data types also. C++ streams, input stream, IO stream, and all these streams. So everything which comes and goes out, they are in the form of streams. 47 is list of predefined console streams. These are C in, C out, C err means error, and C log. This is for standard input, C out is for standard output, C err for standard error of output, and C log for fully buffered version of C err. 48. Keep the usage of iOS input output stream class. This iOS class provides operations common to both input and output. So it contains a pointer to a buffer object. It has constants and member functions that are used in handling the formatted input output operations, and these are the derived classes of iOS. iStream for input stream, OStream for output stream, IOStream for input output stream. That is why we use iostream.h. We include this header file in our C++ program. Then comes what are the types of formatted console input output operations. These are the input output operations formatted console, IO stream, class, member function, and class standard manipulators, user defined manipulators. 15. Give the flag value and bit value for left justified output and decimal conversion. This will be the first one is flag value, then we have a bit field. Left justified out will be output iOS left double colon left, and the bit field will be iOS double colon adjust field. While for decimal conversion, we use iOS double colon decimal, and double colon is nothing but the scope resolution operator. iOS double colon base field. What are the types of manipulators? Give example. There are two types of manipulators that are available in your C++. First is your parameterized manipulator. Then you have non-parameterized manipulator. For example, you have set W, which is setting the width. And this is passing the width value. So it sets the field width. We can also set precision. Set the precision with set precision function with integer as prec. So this sets the floating point precision. What about this non-parameterized manipulator? These are say DEC. This sets, for example, we set here the conversion base to 10. So this is how we set the conversion base to 10. You can also have ENDL, that is you want the output in a new line, and it also flushes the stream end line. What is a custom manipulator? Give it syntax. Custom manipulator. So designing of customized manipulator to control the appearance of the output is referred to as a custom manipulator. For example, you can have a manipulator like this, the OStream manipulator. Inside you can have OStream output, arguments if any, and you can write the manipulator code and you can return the output. This is the custom manipulator. Now write a note on a file or tell about file. A file is a collection of related information, normally representing programs, both source and object forms and data. So data may be numeric, alphabetic, or alphanumeric. A file can also be used or can be used to define as a sequence of bits, bytes, lines, or records, which means that it is defined by the programmer. Operation which can be performed on this file are create, read, open, write, close, etc. So file, it can be a character file, file can be a binary file, and this file can be permanently, data can be stored and can be retrieved, and also you can perform these operations like create, open, read, write, close, etc. Define IF stream and F stream. So IF stream will start with. It is used for handling input files, input file stream. So it contains open with default input mode, and it also inherits getline, read, seek G, tell G function from the IF stream. What about FS stream? This is used for handling files on which both these IO operations can be performed. So it supports simultaneously input output operation, and it contains the open open with default input mode, and it also inherits all the functions from iStream and OStream classes through the IOStream. Then give the prototypes of file stream class constructors. IOStream class constructor is like this. IOStream, you have a constant character means path, which will be constant character type. You have a mode, and then you can also have this open file buffer, open or not. Then in OStream, again path, the mode, and open file buffer or not. Same is in FStream, the same version, but you can have in and out, iOS in, iOS out here also. List out any 4 file modes and their purpose. iOS in, opening, this iOS in which we have just seen. This is for opening, for reading. iOS 8, that means seeking the end of file at the opening time. iOS create, that means open fails if file does not exist. iOS binary means input output stream for binary, open a binary file. List the pointer or file pointer control functions. We have seekg, seekp, tellg, tellp. So seekg, it moves, or this moves the get file pointer to a specific location. seekp moves file pointer, put this file pointer to a specific location. Tellg, this will return, or it will return the current position of the get pointer, and tellp will return the current position of the put pointer. Then what are the types of file accessing? You can have a sequential access. We'll start with sequential access. This type of file, when we are accessing sequentially, that is, you are accessing a particular data, all the preceding data item have been read and discarded. So you read one by one. Random access, you can access at any point. You can just directly access any data. For example, linked list is sequential accessing is there, while in array you have random access. 59. Give any 2 error handling functions and their purposes. EOF, end of file, and RD state. So EOF file, this is true if end of file length is encountered while reading. Otherwise, it is false. RD state means it returns the status state data member of the class iOS. Define the fault avoidance and fault tolerance. We'll start with fault avoidance. So it deals with the prevention of fault occurrence by the construction. So it emphasizes on techniques which needs to be applied during the system development that ensures the system satisfies all the reliability criteria, because failure of a fault means you need to see that the system is reliable, how much reliable. Fault tolerance means this deals with the method of providing services complying with the specification in spite of faults occurring by the redundancy. What is exception handling and how it is classified? The error handling mechanism of C++, which is referred to as exception handling. The exception, refers to some unexpected condition of a program. This exceptional handling or exceptions can be classified into synchronous and asynchronous exception. Synchronous exception is what? The exceptions which occur during the program execution due to some fault in input data within the program. This is known as synchronous exception. The asynchronous exceptions, they are caused by events or fault related to the program and beyond the control of the program, which is the asynchronous exceptions. 62. Define the exception handling construct. For that, you use try, throw, catch. Okay. First you try it, then you catch it, then you can throw. This try keyword, it defines a boundary within which an exception can occur. This boundary is bounded by the braces or the curly brackets. So a block of code in which an exception may occur, this must be prefixed by this keyword try. Then throw. This throw is used to raise an exception when an error is generated in the computation. So it initializes a temporary object to be used in a throw. What about catch? This keyword represents exception handler. So it must be compulsorily used immediately after the statement marked by the try. If you're trying it, you have to catch it also. So it can also occur immediately after catch keyword. Each handler will only evaluate an exception that matches and can be converted to the type specified in the argument list. So you can have multiple catches after try. What are the tasks to be performed by error handling code? First, hit the exception, that is detect the problem causing exception. Throw the exception, inform the error that it has occurred. Catch the exception, receive the error information. Handle the exception. Take corrective actions on this. List the function for handling uncaught exceptions. Terminate, set terminate, unexpected, and set unexpected. So what this terminate is? It is invoked when an exception is raised and the handler is not found. Set terminate, it allows the user to install a function that defines the program's action to be taken to terminate the program when the handler for the exception cannot be found. Unexpected, this function is called when the function throws an exception which is not even listed in the exception specification. Set unexpected, what is set unexpected? It allows the user to install a function that defines the program action to be taken when a function throws an exception not listed in the exception specification. 65. How fault-tolerant software design techniques are classified. Version programming and recovery block. So N-version programming, fault tolerance we are talking about in software design. N-version programming, in this technique, N programmers develop an algorithm for the same problem without interacting with each other. All these programs, they are executed simultaneously in a multiprocess system, and the majority solution is taken as the correct answer. N-version programming for fault tolerance software design. Second is the recovery block. This structure represents the dynamic redundancy approach to software fault. So these were the questions on C++, also some data structure questions. Thank you so much. Take care.